You didn't say a word. You didn't introduce yourself. You didn't brag, perform, or demand anything from anyone in that room. But every single person looked up. Every conversation paused. Every eye followed you. What just happened? No cologne. No designer clothes. No status symbol dangling from your wrist. Just one habit. A single invisible discipline that radiates something most people spend their entire lives chasing and never find. Respect. Not the kind you beg for. Not the kind that disappears when your back is turned. The kind that walks into a room before you do. The ancient philosophers knew it. The generals who built empires mastered it. And the most powerful people alive today guard it like their greatest secret. In the next few minutes, see, you're going to discover what that one habit is, and why, the moment you start practicing it, the world around you will never treat you the same way again. Drop this in the comments right now if you're ready. I command respect without asking for it. Point 1. The stillness signal. Here's a truth that will change how you see every interaction you've ever had. Respect is not given to the loudest person in the room. It gravitates toward the stillest. Think about the people in your life who command the most respect. The boss who never raises her voice. The mentor who listens more than he speaks. The friend who doesn't need to announce their arrival. You just feel it when they walk in. They all share one thing: mastery over their own reactions. When the world panics, they pause. When others explode, they exhale. When chaos demands noise, they offer silence, and that silence is deafening. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote something in his private journals that was never meant for the world to see. He wrote, "The obstacle is not the enemy. Your reaction to the obstacle is." Most people spend their lives reacting to criticism, reacting to insults, reacting to disappointment. And every reaction is a message sent to the world that says, "I am not in control of myself." The one habit that makes people instantly respect you is this: master your reactions before you try to master anything else. Because a person who controls themselves signals something dangerous and magnetic to every person watching. If they can govern themselves, imagine what they can govern. Point 2. The psychology of composure. There is a reason this habit works at a neurological level, and once you understand it, you'll see it everywhere. When human beings perceive someone who does not react to pressure, who doesn't flinch when criticized, doesn't scramble when challenged, doesn't shrink when dismissed, something ancient in their brain fires. It reads that person as a threat, and threats, in the animal kingdom of human social dynamics, are respected, not feared, respected. There is a critical difference. Fear makes people want to escape you. Respect makes people want to earn your approval. When you react to everything, when you explain yourself to people who didn't ask, defend yourself to people who don't matter, argue with people who thrive on drama, you are signaling low social value. You are saying, "Your words have power over me." But when you stay composed, when you acknowledge without absorbing, respond without reacting, engage without becoming emotionally hijacked, you are sending a completely different message. Nothing you do can move me unless I choose to be moved. That is magnetic. That is power. And that is the foundation of instant, lasting respect. Drop this in the comments. Nothing moves me unless I allow it. Now let's get practical. Because knowing this habit intellectually means nothing if you can't apply it when the heat is on. Here are 5 high-pressure situations where this habit separates the respected from the overlooked. Situation 1. When someone disrespects you publicly. This is the ultimate test. Someone says something cutting in front of others. They belittle your idea in a meeting. They dismiss you at a social gathering. They challenge you in front of your peers. The average person. They react immediately, defend, argue, snap back. Their face goes red, their voice rises, and in doing so they hand their power to the very person who disrespected them. The respected person does something counterintuitive. They slow down. A long pause, a measured look, a calm, deliberate response, or sometimes no response at all. Because silence, deployed correctly, is not weakness. It is the loudest answer in the room. When you don't react to provocation, you're not letting them win. You're demonstrating that their ammunition has no target, and a weapon with no target is useless. Situation 2. When you receive unfair criticism, whether it's a boss who's wrong, a partner who's harsh, or a stranger on the internet, unfair criticism is designed to destabilize you. Most people respond by justifying themselves, over-explaining, or shrinking in shame. Both extremes are wrong. The person who commands respect acknowledges without surrendering. They say, "I hear your perspective," not because they agree, but because engaging in a battle of emotions is beneath them. Their results will speak when the storm passes, and they know it. Situation 3. When everything is falling apart. Crisis reveals character. When the project collapses, the relationship fractures, or the plan disintegrates, how you respond in those first 5 minutes determines how people will see you for years. Panic is contagious. So is calm. Leaders who stay composed in a crisis don't just solve problems faster. They create a psychological anchor for everyone around them. People naturally look to the calmest person in chaos for direction, even if that person holds no formal title. Be the eye of the storm. Situation 4. When you're being tested in conversation. Some people test you intentionally. They say something slightly provocative to see how you respond. They make a small joke at your expense to gauge your reaction. They ask a challenging question to see if you'll shrink or rise. Most people fail these invisible auditions without even knowing they're happening. The person with self-mastery passes these tests effortlessly, not because they've rehearsed, but because their emotional baseline is already steady. They don't need to prove anything, so they can't be baited into proving anything. Situation 5. When you experience a loss or setback. This may be the hardest one, because when you lose something, a job, a relationship, an opportunity, every instinct tells you to explain, to mourn publicly, to seek validation. And there is nothing wrong with processing grief. But there is a profound difference between processing grief privately and performing grief publicly. Respected people grieve in private and return in strength. They let their comeback be their commentary. The world doesn't respect the wound, it respects the scar. Drop this in the comments. I rise in silence and return in strength. Here's the truth. No one wants to tell you about self-mastery. It is not a personality trait. It is a practice. No one is born composed. No one wakes up one day immune to provocation. Composure is built, rep by rep, odd moment by moment, test by test. Here is how to build it deliberately. Practice 1. The 3-second rule. Before responding to anything emotionally charged, a text, a comment, a challenging remark, insert a deliberate 3-second pause. In those 3 seconds, ask yourself, is my next action building my position or destroying it? That tiny gap is where your character is forged. Practice 2. Build your emotional baseline. Composure under pressure requires composure in peace. Meditation, journaling, exercise, prayer, whatever practice allows you to regularly return to your center. You cannot access inner stillness in a crisis if you never visit it on a Tuesday morning. Practice 3. Study your triggers. Every person has specific triggers. Words, tones, situations that bypass their rational mind and activate raw reaction. Know yours before your enemies do. The person who has mapped their own emotional landscape cannot be surprised by the terrain. Practice 4. Separate identity from outcome. Much of emotional reactivity comes from tying your self-worth to external results. When you lose the deal, you feel like a loser. When you're criticized, you feel like a failure. Break this link. You are not your results. You are the person who produces results, and that person is not diminished by any single outcome. Practice 5. Let your presence speak. For stop trying to impress with words. Start letting your energy, your posture, your intentionality speak before you do. Enter rooms with purpose. Sit with stillness. Listen with your full attention. These are not soft skills. These are power skills. See and drop this in the comments. I am the master of my response. Here is something the self-help industry rarely tells you. You cannot chase respect. You can only become someone that respect cannot avoid. Every strategy for commanding respect, better posture, louder voice, sharper clothes, bigger car, is external scaffolding built on an unstable foundation. When the pressure comes, scaffolding collapses. Real respect is built from the inside out. It is the natural result of a person who has disciplined their interior world so thoroughly that it radiates outward. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who began life as a slave and became one of the most influential thinkers in history, said it plainly: "No man is free who is not master of himself." The people in your life who carry the most natural authority, they are not performing confidence. They have earned it through thousands of private moments where they chose discipline over impulse, silence over noise, long-term respect over short-term satisfaction. And here is the most liberating truth in all of this. It starts today, right now, in your next conversation, with your next reaction. The moment you choose not to react emotionally when you could, the moment you choose stillness when every nerve in your body is screaming to fight back, you are building something. Brick by brick, pause by pause, choice by choice. A version of yourself that walks into any room and doesn't need to announce anything, because everything about them already has. You've spent enough of your life giving other people power over your peace. You've spent enough years reacting when you should have been responding. You've given enough moments to triggers that didn't deserve your energy. Starting today, that changes. Not because someone told you to be calmer, but because you now understand something most people never will. The most powerful thing you can do in any room, in any conflict, in any season of your life, is to remain completely, undeniably, unshakably yourself. Unmoved, unbothered, undeniable. That is the one habit that makes people instantly respect you. Not the loudest, not the flashiest, not the most impressive, the most composed. If this video showed you something true about yourself today, subscribe. Because the insights we share here aren't just motivation. They are the architecture of a life that commands respect in every room you enter. So drop your final affirmation in the comments. I am unmoved, unbothered, and undeniable.